A bunch of human cockfighters this past weekend. The first live sport in America since the quarantine happened was a UFC 249, which I was a part of, obviously a couple other people, and human cockfighters got in there and put on a great show. People had been saying that this was going to be a great stacked card. There was going to be a lot of action. You got a lot of killers out there, and it held up to the case. That big guy, the big guy that was swinging like this, who just knocked the son of a bitch out real hard, that was awesome. Then the Thug Nasty kid from Arkansas putting moves in that you only see in professional wrestling that he was doing to people. And then obviously Cejudo and the boys getting after it. Greg Hardy didn't really impress me that much, but I understand he's going to become a good fighter is what everybody said. I enjoyed watching that, and there was some real carnage. We're talking about some really fucked up faces after these fights, and that is not normal. That doesn't happen anymore. And I loved what the UFC did, and I think it was a massive success. What were some of your takeaways as an MMA expert?
Well, definitely not an MMA expert by any means.
Yeah.
A fan just like anybody else. Yeah. It started out from the jump, like the prelims before that were on ESPN that started at 7 p.m., I believe, or 8 p.m. Eastern, whatever it was. Those were like Sam Alvey, I think, was the first fight on the card. The dude is an absolute warrior. But like, I don't even know. There's so many great fights on the card. When you were saying the big guy that was swinging lunch pails or whatever you call his fist. That was Francis Ngannou, the 20-second knockout, right?
Oh, Ngannou. Now, I don't know much about the fighting sport, but that literally looked like when the bears get on their back feet and they just start running at each other. And I've always had a plan for if a bear does that to me, you don't play dead like they tell you. You just move out of the way, you see. I don't think it's I think what that guy did who was fighting Ngannou, what he did wrong was he didn't just move to the side because it felt like that was a freight train coming right down at him, and he just sat at the end of the tracks and said, come and knock me the fuck out. He missed 5 times. I don't know how many professional fights I've seen somebody just miss, dead. I don't know if that even happens anymore. That guy might be my new favorite fighter of all time.
I mean, it was pretty amazing. Francis Ngannou is such a scary dude. And like you said, he missed so many times, but all he needs is one. And Daniel Cormier, who was commentating, like when he was watching the replay, did you hear him? He's like, look at this guy. He's like, his chin's up. He doesn't care. Like his chin is all right there for anyone to hit. And DC keeps saying that. I'm like, yeah. But DC said it like in a respectful way, like knowing, yeah, his chin may be up, but good luck fighting through the barrage of these monsters I'm throwing at you, because one of them, I didn't even have to connect 80%. If I hit you with 70% of one of these, you're going out for the night.
Well, the guy that's commentating that isn't DC or Rogan, the other guy, what's his name?
John Anik.
John Anik. He's good. I enjoy listening to him.
He's great.
He basically said, like, every fighter should be scared of this guy. And DC was like, well, I'm definitely not scared of him. Like, let's not get crazy here. I wonder if DC was trying to angle himself to potentially fight that guy.
I mean, DC could absolutely fight him if he said he wanted to. And DC even told you, like, I would have taken him down already.
He literally said that. And by the way, from an untrained eye here, and as a guy who trained in the same gym as DC one time, I want to let you know, me and Cormier trained in the same gym. I was out there at Jay Glazer's gym. We're at Unbreakable.
Unbreakable? Yeah.
It was a wild day. I walk in. We're not allowed to play music because Jay's doing something. And I'm like, well, this gym is the worst gym of all time. Then he stops filming something. Then the music gets going. And then I start seeing, like, these incredible athletes start walking. I'm like, oh, this is the greatest gym of all time. And then a guy has a shirt on that says, I break bones, as in Chris Bones Jones. I break bones. And it was Cormier. And I was like, oh, I wonder what nephew of his is fights Chris Jones or
John Jones?
John Jones. There it is. It fights John Jones. And it turns out it was him. And I was like, man, that guy is going to fight John Jones? Because I knew John Jones at the time because I had met him through Arthur Jones, who was on our team. I was like, that guy is going to fight John Jones? And they were like, yeah, that guy's a killer over there. I was like, well, he looks like a guy who needs to get in shape or whatever. And then you watch him fight. I'll tell you what, he's on the microphone, he's very good, and at fighting, he's very good. He's an impressive individual. I think he's like 40 years old, too, at this point.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I became a Cormier fan over the weekend watching these fights, and one of the fighters said that he even gave him a heads up. He was like, oh, and I heard DC say to do blah, 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 or whatever. And Cormier,
Greg Hardy said it changed the whole fight. He's like, yeah, it's crazy. I could hear DC commentating because there's no fans here, and he told me to start checking these leg kicks, and I did, and it was like a whole new game after that.
By the way, that guy, Greg Hardy, I guess he's just sleeping and eating, fighting at the moment.
Yeah, he's doing well. What about, did you see so Dominic Cruz got beat by Henry Cejudo? Like, controversial stoppage, supposedly.
Kind of broken.
Cruz says I was climbing up like I was trying to stand up. You shouldn't call a fight. Yeah, maybe, but he was eating some shots from Cejudo. But you see Dom Cruz said the referee smelled of alcohol and cigs.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he came out and started. Let's question the guy that made the decision, too, a little bit. This guy was drunk and smoking in between the rounds because he had nobody to check him because there's nobody within the 4-mile radius. I enjoyed that. And I guess that Gaethje?
Yeah.
Hey, he's a killer out there.
I told you, Pat. Didn't I tell you last week? Like, he's one of the most exciting fighters ever. But how in the world did Tony Ferguson eat that many shots?
I don't know. Just like the same guy that didn't tap out to Thug Nasty's triangle choke. I believe he had him on triangle, and then he almost had him in a twister choke. Ooh. Some of these dudes are just so much tougher than I could ever fathom. I mean, how about that one guy's eyeball is just broken? And then Ferguson's eyeball is broken as well. But that one guy is broken eyeball, can't see anything, and he knows he just got his ass kicked, and he's just flexing into the camera. I'm like, these maniacs, man, I have no idea how they do it. Big weekend for the UFC. Very good idea here for the UFC to get in ahead of everything else and put on a hell of a fight card like that.
I guess, how many? I'm curious now when the numbers come out. What kind of pay-per-view buys did this draw? Because it had to get so many, and a lot of people I think got messed up going from ESPN, and then you got to have ESPN Plus. I know you had issues because you haven't bought a pay-per-view since they've been with ESPN. There's an extra step in the process, no doubt.
Well, I always thought that I could just get it on my TV.
You used to be able to.
Yeah, now I can't. Just charge me more to let me just do it on my TV, so I don't. Because then I don't have a smart TV in my bedroom, and for some reason my Apple TV back there hasn't been working, so I couldn't mirror the thing to the thing. We had to get a laptop out that we didn't even know if it worked anymore. I mean, I was not enjoying the whole process, but I did it to watch those humans try to kill each other. I did it, but it was not the easiest process, and I would assume that might have drove some people away. But I'm thinking big old numbers on that fight for good reason. It was a great product.
Did you have fun when Thug Nasty continued to go after the twister? How juiced Joe Rogan and DC got? Like, I don't claim to understand what the twister is exactly. I know it's kind of rare to get it in a competition like this, but they were so excited if he actually finished off that twister.
Well, I think it's like a joke of a move, I'd assume. I don't think that's an easy thing. It's like the old banana split they used to talk about whenever you're wrestling. Did you ever hear about this? I had some friends that were like legit top wrestlers, maybe in America at one point. The Pellegrini and Sean Clare used to be like, I think the Pellegrini was on Team America or whatever, one of their kids. But I somehow was linked up with these two kids who were the best wrestlers maybe in, I don't know, I don't want to speak out of turn. They were very good though, whatever they were. And for some reason, I was friends with these two, and I was whenever I was younger, and I was in a living room with them, and for some reason it turned into wrestling practice, and I should not have been where I was at. And
how old were you?
Maybe 12.
7th, 8th grade, yeah.
Yeah, maybe like 12 or 11 years old or whatever. And we were in a wide open living room, and it just was. I was not supposed to fucking be there. But while
did this get sexual? Is that where you're going?
No. No, it was getting to the point where I had to like really defend myself. But the other guy was like, "Don't let him put the banana split or whatever on you." And that's when they grab your legs and they try to rip your groin apart. Or
Spladle?
Is that what that's called?
Because all the wrestling kids love just touching and grabbing you, and they put you in a spladle, and your crotch is basically ripped in half.
Yeah, and it's like they can't do that to each other normally. So it's like if you're an amateur, a noob, they can get you. Now, granted, I outweighed both of these guys, so I was able to save myself. It was only they went at it a little bit or something like that. We were talking about something, and they started doing the whole thing, like the head slapping thing. They started doing, and I was just sitting there like, oh, okay, this is gonna get interesting. And then all of a sudden, one of them won, and then they're like, all right, you're like, it was practice, like that. It was like, okay, now you're up. I'm
Next
like,
man up.
I'm not, and I weigh 30 pounds more than both of them at the time. I'm like, I'm not doing this. And then they're like, don't let it happen. Don't let it happen. I'm like, what? And they're like, oh, if we would have, that's embarrassing for you or whatever. I think that's what the twister is. Like, I think the twister is something that happens on like amateurs. I'm not sure professionals are able to get it on. Like, I think that's like like a pretty big thing for him to be. Thug Nasty was trying his best to get it done though, that guy.
Yeah, I don't know how you don't see it happen too often in the UFC, but I don't know. I'm not sure, like, people that are true jiu-jitsu guys, like, I don't know if it's something I don't think it's a joke, but I think it's just very hard to do.
You probably do it to me. Like, I'd assume they didn't.
Oh, they could do anything. Yeah, they could lock me and you up in anything, probably.
Okay, all right.
Jesus,
I thought you were just...
No, I'm not claiming to be able to defend anything when it comes to that.
I Tapped out 6 times in 1 minute. And then I couldn't even do it with my arms because they were breaking both my arms. I had to do it with my feet. It's not good.
Can you verbally tap too? You could.
Well, I couldn't breathe. I mean, when you got humans just laying on top of you like that. Matt Mitrione, whenever he gets that big body on top of you and starts yanking on your arms and stuff, there's not a lot of talking to do there. It's just a lot of praying, though.
There's a split.
There's a split right there. Look at that.
Jeez.
Oh, no. Can you show me?
That poor guy.
That's what that guy. Wait, this guy did this in the living room to you?
He was trying. He didn't get me. He was trying, but there was a lot of like, don't let that. Like the other guy was like, don't let it happen. Like, do not let this happen to you right now. It was almost like I would have had to walk home if it would have happened. Like,
He's like crying.
This is like getting posterized in the NBA. Like if you get dunked on by somebody.
That's probably what the twister is in a jiu-jitsu world. It's like getting dunked on. Because so many things have to happen. Your leg has to get in. Your leg has to be in the wrong spot. Your arm has to be in the wrong spot, and your neck has to be in the wrong spot. So I assume that is not something that normally happens whenever you're doing
This kid's so happy he got this move done.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's gonna talk about. He's probably got that framed. Look at him. He's like, I cannot believe we pulled this off. Yeah, it's not supposed to happen. That poor kid on the bottom though.
Yeah, the poor kid in the blue singlet is never going to live this down, especially now that we just re-upped it.
He probably had to move. That kid probably had to, they were talking to me as if somebody who never wrestled before, if it happened to me, I would have had to move. That's probably what would have happened to this guy. All right.
Look good, feel good. Feel good, play good.
Play good, pay good, live good, die good.